Have you ever read anything in a review helpful?
No.
Matthew?
No. Have you? Have you ever read a helpful review?
Maybe if you were on the road, you know, coming into town, you
Yes.
might, I think then, or the overall, you know, if every critic says, you know, the ending was not satisfying,
Right.
you might learn something. But I've never tried to take details because there's too many people, and you know, I just can't deal with that.
I don't think about it. I don't think about it as you know, to generalize and say reviews. There are certain people that I've spent time reading, and I understand their sensibility, and I agree with their sensibility. So if they were to say something, that I would take it seriously. And then there are people that are just jackasses, and you dismiss them, you know, and they're part of that noise. But you know, there's an assumption that it doesn't have to be an adversarial relationship necessarily. I mean, it depends on the quality of the writing and the quality of the mind that's writing it, you know. And so I guess I try not to look at it as that they're the enemy.
Oh,
It's
they're
hard.
the enemy.
I
Because
wish they-
they'll always be observers. They're just observers.
No, see, that's what I want to change.
What is it?
I want them to come before you open and say exactly what they want, and I want to do that. Great idea.
Fantastic.
You want to
Say
do
this all the
that?
time.
Well, then the review is good, right? You do,
Well, what are you?
how should I do, like that, okay.
Are you the Stepford actor? What
Oh,
the hell
that's
is
a
that?
really good idea. It's a $1 million
No.
idea.
Look, you know what? There was a time when they were they were upholding the culture standard, but you know, and gentlemen of the press. But there are times when I think it's just, you know, they just like the sound of their own voices, and sometimes they're nasty, and they're, you know, I mean, but as I said, they're human. Some of them are. But I mean, you just, you know, it is a part of, you know, it's a part of the process, but they will always be, to me, they always seem like people who failed at something else, and that's why they do that. They failed at something else. And they are observers. They will never know what it's like to stand on a stage with George C. Scott. They will never know what it's like to hear Stephen Sondheim write a song that he's just written for you. They will never know what it's like to look into the eyes of Teresa Wright. They will never know what it is we do, even though they want to be a part of it. They're not. They are just observers, and they have opinions, and like assholes, we all have them.
Has the level of expectations affected audiences? The audiences that you're getting now at
No.
at the theater? Okay. We've got some questions from the audience and from our sister organizations. Could you both, Nathan and Matthew, be persuaded to act your favorite scene in The Odd Couple?
Now? What?
That's the question. It's a question.
To act what? I
Your
didn't understand.
favorite scene in The Odd Couple.
Like right now. It's like we're
For
at Thanksgiving
free?
and Aunt Sylvia wants us to perform. It's like, my relative. Sing a little something. Oh, my God.
I guess the answer is
It's $100. You know, if I start cutting the price for one person, then everybody's going to come up to me and say, you know, do it for free. I can't.
okay. Mr. Lane, I saw you in On Borrowed Time on Broadway years ago playing what I thought was against type. Is there an against type role you dream of playing?
Well, I don't know what that means exactly, because it means that, you think of me in a certain way, and then so I have to play against that. I mean, I'm always looking for something, a more serious role, or, because I've gotten to do a lot of comedy, but I've done, look, in the last 2 years, I opened Trumbo. I went and did I did Buckley at the Huntington Theater in Boston. I did Dedication. These are Terrence McNally play. I mean, I'd like to think that I'm not just
Joe,
some.
is there anything you'd like to see him play?
Well, yes. When we worked together a few years back, I said to Nathan that someday I would love to direct him in Death of a Salesman. I think he would be great.
Matthew, any role against type that you'd like to play?
Linda?
In Death of a
And
Salesman.
a man is not an orange. Yeah. That I just did that for free. I don't know. I never can think of that. I think that way. I mean, that's a good idea, but I don't know what to do.
This is a question from Great Barrington, Massachusetts. Do you have any superstitions in the theater? And I assume that this is addressed to all three of you. Do you have any superstitions in the theater? And then, is directing a musical different than a drama? But I think we'll just go with the first question.
Superstitions like whistling backstage
Or saying the name of that Scottish play.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't do that. I wouldn't do that. I don't-
Yeah, that makes me uneasy. But I mean,
I don't have superstitions, but I find I'm very ritualistic.
You get dressed. He gets dressed very early. He's in his costume at half hour or before that.
Oh, before then.
I see him wander down at, as everybody's coming in with their coffee. He's in his outfit, ready.
But, I like to do certain things. It's a sort of a ritual to it. But and then of course I bring along my lucky tuna.
Your lucky tuna? What is that?
I have no idea.
What's his lucky tuna?
Nothing. It doesn't mean anything. I believe it was a joke.
Do you have any rituals, Matthew? Any rituals or superstitions beyond that?
I don't have any. Not really. I mean, the whole thing is kind of ritualistic in a nice way. There's so much tradition to all of it. The getting there at half hour and signing your little sheet. I love all those things. It's almost my favorite thing. You're nasty, just the dressing room, everything about it, the theater itself, it's all ritualistic. Every time you go out there, there have been hundreds of people before you coming out of that room in some other outfit, and I love being part of the ritual of it, but I don't have any.
we were talking about this. I was with some friends last night. We were talking about how sometimes the rituals of a particular show will just develop organically. But one day you'll be in the theater. You spend 10, 12 hours in the theater when we're teching the show, and you get ready to do it. You walk by someone's dressing room. You sit down for 5 minutes. Yeah. The next night, you find yourself at that same time coming down and sitting there, waving to the same person at the same time. So things kind of develop.
I walk into Jessica's room every night, basically. I do actually do the same things practically, and you're often
I'm hoping to
there.
catch her naked.
No, it's true. I talk to the same guy, and I guess I am more ritualistic than I realize.
Yeah.
Another question from the audience. How long are you two committed to stay in the play? Will you tour with the play?
We're committed to, at this point, April 2nd. There's no tour has been planned as yet.
Any chance of an extension?
I don't know. We haven't really talked about it. I mean,
Or coming back as you did in the producers?
no, I think we'll talk about it and figure out what will happen. But we haven't. No, nothing's been
Too
planned.
early to.